Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Matthew Prestwood with Backer Club. I have Ridge Kiley here from Alpha Clash Cosmic Conquest, and I think we're just gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about the new campaign they have running and get him to answer a few questions for us. All right. How's it going, Ridge?
It's good. It's cold out in Iowa, but it's going to warm up, so things are looking up.
Awesome. So, for someone that's brand new to like the Alpha Clash series and Cosmic Conquest in particularly, can you give us a simple explanation of like how the game works?
Yeah, it's really a fast-paced, lore-driven dice rolling skirmish game. So essentially, people will draft a team of contenders, and we've got 18 different contenders in the game. Once they've got their team put together, they're going to move around the game board, and they're going to be conquering planets. They're going to be fighting with dice and cards and character abilities. And ultimately, the goal of the game is to gain gambit points, so victory points. And basically, you do that for so many rounds and then see who is the winner. So dice rolling, combat, strategy of movement and zone control, but ultimately, victory points will determine the winner.
Wow. Yeah, 18 players. That is a lot to keep track of. How long does the gameplay normally about last?
I would say about an hour on average. Two players closer to that hour mark, but you get up to four players, I would say about 90 minutes. The more people get familiar with the game and the mechanics, their turns will start to move pretty quickly. So I'd say there's just a little bit of a learning curve, but not too much. And once people get it, it flows pretty well. It plays pretty fast paced once you understand, oh, okay, this is exactly what's happening. And then there's just so much depth with the strategy, and there's tons of different paths to victory. Some people can kind of go a more peaceful path and just kind of take over planets and go the more zone control route. Others can be really confrontational, fight everyone, try to gain points that way. And then there's also just the social element of the game that people will have to, navigate, the social side of things if they're gonna ultimately win. Hey, let's team up for this turn because this person's pulling ahead, and then the next turn, you're looking to backstab your opponent so that you can, get ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely sounds like an interesting game. So, how is Cosmic Conquest different from other like sci-fi board games on the market, and what do you consider the game's most unique or standout feature?
I think that there's a few things that stand out in the market. I think the combination of the dice rolling, the in-depth strategy, the modular game board, the armory cards that add a lot of RNG to the game, all the different diverse characters with different abilities, their play styles. You're essentially drafting a team of a tank, a healer, and a DPS, and we call them a sentinel, a savior, and a destroyer. And so there's just so many combinations of how you draft your team, how the game board plays out, how you decide to move around, the types of cards that show up on the armory, how you roll your dice. Like there's just so many things that affect the outcome. I think that with all the decision points and how much strategy you can do, it really adds, a layer of, I think, complexity, but not over the top. I think it's enough to like tape for tabletop gamers. They think, oh man, there's so much here. It's not just like okay, I roll dice and then we move on. Now your turn to roll dice. Like there's just so many things that can happen. And if you want to, explore all your options, like there's so many there. But if it's someone that's not as hardcore into board games, it's also not overwhelming that you can't keep up with the experienced gamer.
Hmm.
We have some pretty cool catch up mechanics and other ways to kind of stay in the game. So the fact that it ties into the Alpha Clash lore, it has zone control, kind of dice rolling and battling. The combat system's really, really good and smooth. And then victory points, I think that combination of things really just adds a unique experience for the tabletop gaming world.
Cool. All right, moving on here. It looks like this is your fifth campaign on Kickstarter and the fifth product in the actual Alpha Clash brand. where does this new game fit within the Alpha Clash lineup, and where did the inspiration of it like kind of come from?
Yeah, it's I like to think it's pretty cool. So this is actually a prequel story. So this is our way to kind of bridge the story of the past to the present, and eventually it'll even tie into the future of the lore and how we storytell. But it's a prequel story, and it tells the story of Clarity, which is one of our main characters, and how she used to be like a servant of the gods, she's a harbinger, and she's the harbinger of death. And it's kind of her through line of the past that led to where she is now in the modern day story. And what's really cool about what we're doing is we're going to be doing 8 comic books on what we call the Cosmic Block, so the whole prequel story. And the TCG is going to have 3 dedicated sets that are themed around the Cosmic Block as well. So this board game is kind of the entry point of the Cosmic Conquest storyline, which then introduces the comics and the trading card game that all tie together and brings all these characters, to life on pages and in the card game. And it's, where it came from, I don't fully recall where the idea came from, but it was our, kind of clever way to tell the story that we wanted to tell without doing, an entire novel series about it, and do it in a way that people could experience via, gameplay and kind of quick reads through comic books.
Well, it's pretty cool. So how has Kickstarter kind of impacted you guys in this whole theory, or in this whole kind of like series of the game? So where does Kickstarter kind of play into it?
So Kickstarter's been a really good tool for us just to reach audiences that maybe have never heard of us, or maybe they just love crowdfunding and they want to find the next big thing. Like there's just a different part of the market that exists in tabletop gaming that Kickstarter allows, and we've been able to reach new markets. And especially as a new game, you also get to test the appetite for the market too, to see, if people are really wanting it. So, we've used Kickstarter. This is our 5th campaign. We've done a novel, we've done a comic book, we did a graphic novel, we did our trading card game a couple of years ago, and then now our board game. So we've had several different products, and each of them have been really fun campaigns, ways to engage in new audiences and even our current audience, just with exclusives and just fun things that, you can do on Kickstarter. So it's been a great tool for us to just reach new people.
Well, yeah, you kind of touched on it a little bit. How much work goes into a game like this? And like, how long have you been actually working on the game portion of this?
So the game is done. The game's ready. It's ready for print. So anyone that may be watching this and considering backing and maybe wondering how long it'll take before they get their game, we typically do the work on the front end, and then once everything's ready, we hit print after the campaign. So our past 4 campaigns we've fulfilled within about 5 months in totality. So we expect about the same timeline on this. So yeah, that's one thing that we kind of pride ourselves on, using kind of the Kickstarter model.
Yep. And so how long have you been working on the game up till this point?
Yeah, forgot to connect that. So
Yes.
we had worked on this for about a year and a half. Actually, a year ago, we had started printing the prototype version of the game. So, about a year and a half, and then we kind of showed it off at conventions and marketed it and told people that it was coming. And so now we're finally here. So by the time people get it in their hands, roughly 2 years in the making.
Wow. And how many people like on your team like worked on this with you?
Oh man. So we had 2 core game developers that really built this thing. I kind of had a vision and, would try to guide as much as I could with how I wanted it to tie to the storytelling and the gameplay experience. Then we had a couple of other just consultants that just helped them kind of clean things up. So just between that, there was like 5 people working on the board game and the mechanics. Then if you include artists and, editors and things like that, I mean, there's probably, I don't know, 20 people that worked on the board game.
Wow.
Yeah, with our play testers and yeah. So it was definitely a project, quite the project, but man, very proud of the product that we created.
Yeah, it does look amazing. Have there been any like frequently asked questions by backers that you'd like to clarify here? I think on the actual campaign page there was a lot about the like VIP tier.
Yeah, so before the campaign, we ran a VIP offering where people could just do like a $1 refundable deposit. And if they did that $1 and they backed the campaign, then they got an exclusive miniature and a promo card in addition to their tier that they got, their pledge. So I think that's probably the biggest confusion is some people are wondering when and how they would get their VIP reward, but it's really just attached to the Kickstarter pledge.
Gotcha.
Any FAQs? There hasn't been too many. People are asking about like maybe the miniatures and the details about what they could expect there, or they could be asking if it supports more than 4 players. And the answer to that is yes. There's actually components in the board game box that supports up to 6 players. The biggest thing that I would say is anyone that wants to play 6 players, it's still a great experience, but make sure people know how to play first. Otherwise, turns could take a little long. But if everyone knows how to play, it's an excellent experience. There are other game modes right out of the box. So, you don't just get one single standard game mode out of the box. You get multiples, you get, team variants, and you can just use like one single contender. Like there's just different ways to play it. And, that's also a unique feature about the game, that there's a lot of value in the box. There's a lot of components. They're all really high quality. They look great. It's a great game, but it also has some weight to it. It's like a 10-pound game box.
Wow, okay.
The price, we made it as competitive as we could for Kickstarter. Because after Kickstarter, that the price goes up because we're trying to offer everyone just a great, deal here. So between the stretch goals and, the campaign exclusives, like there's a lot of, great things to grab, right now while the campaign is live.
Cool. You kind of touched on it before, but you had said that you've kind of shot for a 5-month like lead time and when the campaign ends until delivery date. And we noticed that during this campaign, you have stated a September delivery date. I'm sure you're probably pretty confident in that September delivery date, and that this is a print type campaign. So does have a lot of similar things as some of the other things that you guys have created, including the TCG and the comic books and books in general. So are you pretty confident in the September delivery date? And then are you using like the same kind of manufacturing vendors or new vendors, or how is that going to play out?
Yeah, we have a couple of new vendors, but we've also printed the prototypes. We've been in touch with manufacturers. We have an understanding of our lead time and our shipping time. We also have quite a bit of experience with the trading card game because we're coming up on our 5th set of that. And so we repeat this process multiple times a year. And so we have at least a general understanding of, the printing process, the shipping process, and the fulfillment process. Yeah. And we should be within that ballpark. We're always transparent with our backers. If things change, we always just say, hey, there's a shipping delay or, whatever it is. But, we do feel confident that we can deliver, within that time frame. We have all the files ready to go. So when the campaign and, the pledge manager closes up, we hit print and, we're off to the races.
Awesome. Sounds good. I guess one last thing is there anything that you would like to say to the backers that we kind of missed here?
Anyone that loves board games or just loves good lore and artwork or anything, check out Cosmic Conquest. It's a quality product. There's the money, the value is there in the pledges in each tier. And, we just appreciate anyone and everyone that is supporting us, whether they just found us or they've done every single thing that they've backed everything that we've, made. We're just really appreciative. It's such a fun, just a fun project to work on as a whole, as a studio. We get to work on games and comics. Like, we're just having fun, and we work hard really for you guys, not even for us. We work hard so that everyone can just enjoy what we're putting out. So yeah, I would just say thank you for even taking the time to listen to this, and we promise to deliver, great product.
Awesome. Well, there you guys have it. Ridge Kiley from the Cosmic Conquest Alpha Clash. Go check them out on Kickstarter. See you guys later.
Thanks, everyone.